Guys, we're just looking at these calipers again. First time for this one, but we got the other two done already. On this one here, on all the calipers, you can see they were sticking pretty bad. You can see, not so much that one. But anyways, you can see people have been pushing them in with C-clamps and stuff over the years. Imagine somebody did pretty recently because it's got new pads in it. Anyways, besides the crust and shit that gets in the pistons, you can see that brake pad didn't want to move until I pried it up. And you can also see weird marks on that brake pad as opposed to the one that was moving.
Oh, it's got like vertical or
yeah,
like
and I'm not
diagonal
quite
lines or
sure
something?
why, but I know that one was contacted and that one wasn't. And you can see that's like grease or something that I don't know if this caliper itself was leaking over. Hard to say. The other one, the back one was real bad. The other front one was reasonable. It was pretty good actually for 95. Anyways, there's lots of spoolage around this. I don't know if that O-ring was leaking into there. Alright guys, so I just got them two pistons out. And as you can see, this is what your brake fluid turns into.
Ew, what is it?
It's in there.
Dirty brake fluid.
Moisture and shit in your brake fluid. Every 2 years you're supposed to probably replace it. Nobody does, of course. But when you let it go for too long, this is what happens, and that's not even a crazy.
The back one was crazy.
Yeah,
That
the back one was pretty bad. Yeah. The same thing's happening behind these rubbers. Basically, they kind of, moisture and shit gets behind them, even though they're not really leaking. And it starts forcing out and out and out on the rubber until the brake won't come off, basically. I never seen them not come on because of this, the hydraulic's always strong enough to overcome it, but they won't come back in because all that's pulling your caliper back in is this rubber. That rubber is square, so when your cylinder gets pushed out on it, it tries to drag it out, and that's all that drags it back in is the tension on them rubbers.
Oh, wow.
And this one's just it's also the seal, of course. And then this one's a dust seal.
So I guess what do you have to do? You have to clean all that out?
I'll carefully pick all these out and you'll see. Sometimes you can get away with reusing these. We usually, but no kidding, if we're going to bother taking them apart.
Yeah, for the sake of whatever the kit was worth.
One thing I did notice is these VMax are supplied all new sport bikes, I suppose, is 4-piston calipers. Really this job is twice as much work as, say, an old White Hawk or anything with a 1 or a 2-piston caliper. You gotta watch out for that when you're pricing these jobs. And of course you gotta split the calipers and stuff as opposed to not having to split them. Yes, now we got it out, and you can see on the camera there, but inside them grooves you can see all the shit in there. They should be nice and shiny and clean. Very crusty, it like crystallizes it basically. You can see it all there. All in there, really bad in here.
Yeah, well. So let's still for 1 second. I'm gonna zoom right in. Wow.
It takes a bit of scraping and shit. You gotta be careful not to ruin your cylinder, of course. This is my Torx bit that I made. And I get in there and use the edges of it to these inner edges here, like you can, these front are real ridiculous bad, but most of the dirt just didn't get under the seal yet. But the back, I mean, every time I would scrape, I probably got an hour to scrape it into the back, and every time I'd do this, I'd fill up that bowl with the shit that's in there. Another little thing I forgot to mention, this is where your pad slides. That stuck pad that I just showed you, it was stuck. Probably stuck everywhere, but that's what rides your pad on. Guides it. And as you can see, it's full of junk. Once that's wire wheeled off and these pins are all done, it's gonna let them rubbers pull it back in and work a lot smoother. Alright, so I said earlier I thought this O-ring might be leaking. If you just hold that still so I can see what's up. You can see the machine marks in it there. A big one right through there. It's hard to tell on the camera, but you can see that slight little line, right?
You can see it right around it.
Most of the way around it.
Yeah.
Except right here. And I dare say that was leaking because it's not flat. It looks like somebody attacked it with something, I don't know. But the rest of them are all perfectly machined, and you could just tell that this was wet around it. So anyways, I'm gonna flatten out this half. And of course this one's a machined thing too. It's funny they didn't, you can see some machine marks in it, but not as bad as this, not as bad as this.
Do you think like somebody tried to polish it?
I think somebody probably used something a little too coarse on it, I guess. Not, obviously not flat enough.
Yeah.
Like that. Anyways, I got a piece of glass here with some sandpaper on it, so it should be flat. Now you can see where I sanded, and you can still see all that low. See the difference?
Mm-hmm.
And it's still low all down in here. Still see it?
It's hard to. There we go.
As you can see, you don't got to be very aggressive with it. Just take your time. I'm doing figure eights to keep everything nice and even. If you just, you know, I could.
Oh, put too much pressure in
And you know,
slide down.
I'm not really pressing down on it. I'm just keeping it flat. just about getting this.
It looks like there's still just the slightest line right there, right?
Yep. Pretty close. I'm almost happy. Maybe one more go. I've done this on cylinder heads as well. Yeah, flat head lawn tractor cylinder heads, and the head gasket goes flat in the back out. Overhead valve lawn tractor, same deal. Briggs and Stratton used to have a big run where the head gaskets would all pop, and anyways, I've straightened them out like this.
So I'm assuming you use the glass because you know it's perfectly flat. There's no...
Yeah, close to perfectly flat. Yeah, you could, piece of glass this big, you could do a V8 head if you had to. No more marks. This side, we're just going to give it a quick one just because it's been up against that one, but it looks pretty good. This side, there's just two O-rings going in them holes, so you want to be less aggressive for sure. Your O-ring will stick up too much and it won't.
Right.
As we already knew, that side looks pretty good. That was a 120 grit. You can find a node and go as crazy as you want, but I'm gonna call that good. Maybe I'm gonna be right quick.
What do you have there?
Just a medium Scotch brake pad. I'm not gonna go crazy and lose my flatness. Just take the edge off some of that. I'm not sure what these calipers are worth. It's a bit of labor, but I'd guess that they were $700 a piece or something, you know, $30 a piston or something like that if you're gonna rebuild them, which wouldn't help you in this case, but
Yeah, because the rebuild's not going to
flatten
out the metal. It's crazy the stuff that people will do and probably didn't even notice that it was done. They're like, oh, look, it's shiny.
On this bike, the fork seals leaked bad, the calipers, this caliper leaked. So the whole front end was just a mess, and you'd never know that this was leaking until you took it apart and seen that all inside was oozed out. But I mean, if you're buying a used bike, this is definitely an hour of caliper labor. Whatever your local shop charges, $100 an hour probably. So it's a lot cheaper just to change your brake fluids.
Yeah.
Same with your forks and stuff. I mean, little maintenance when you do the seals, do the bushings, fresh fluid. It'll last forever. You won't be wondering. You can see now I got all this inner part here where the pad slides nice and cleaned up. You can actually see that little ridge there. That's wear from it either being stuck or sticking or just high miles. But at least without it sticking that pad, it'd be able to move nice and free. I think that's it for now.